Mayor Marty Walsh looked far and wide for the city's next fire commissioner. He hired a high-end consulting firm, and before long, his nationwide search attracted candidates from as far away as the UK and Pakistan. But in the end, Walsh's extensive hunt landed him right back here in Boston. Yesterday, Walsh tapped Joseph Finn as both fire commissioner and fire chief. The 30-year department veteran proved his mettle back in March when he served as the incident commander at the Back Bay fire that claimed the lives of 2 firefighters. Now Finn will tackle a difficult task of reorganizing an department in flux and boosting morale within the ranks. And Commissioner Joseph Finn is here. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Emily, for having me tonight.
Great to have you. So I think a lot of people are confused about this fire chief, fire commissioner. What's the separation of duties and how come you're honored with both of those titles now?
Historically, prior to Commissioner Frazier, the commissioner / chief of department was always held both titles. One person held both titles, going back to Commissioner Paul, Commissioner Stapleton, Commissioner Pierce, Commissioner Christian. And a lot of it has to do with some legal issues as far as the duties and the responsibilities of the chief of department, who holds most of the legal authority and enforcement and code enforcement, where the fire commissioner is more the administrative head of the department. All
right, so now, did you lobby for this? I mean, you must have put your hat in the ring. So were you surprised that they selected you?
I certainly was interested and intrigued. I've been on for 30 years and have a deep commitment to this department. And the opportunity arose, and I thought long and hard, discussed with my wife, because it's certainly going to be an interruption in the way we lived our lives, and the scrutiny and so on. And she was very supportive. So I said, well, if it's okay with you, I'm going to submit and apply and be one of the candidates, I hope, and get selected in the final.
It's going to be disruptive to your lives in more ways than one, because now you're going to be under the auspices of the residency requirement, am I right?
That's correct.
And you're going to have to move from Quincy to Boston somewhere. I mean, have you thought about that? And what do you think about this whole residency thing anyway?
Well, I was born and bred in Dorchester. Back when my wife and I first were married, and over 27 or 8 years ago, please forgive me.
She's not going to forgive you, I will.
The city was unaffordable at the time.
Still is.
It's expensive, and fortunately we're in a better position than we were back then. I had 3 children, and at the time we were thinking of their education and so on, and we couldn't afford, and so I was fortunate enough to be able to buy a home in Quincy. And but in my discussions with the mayor, I feel committed that I should be back in the city of Boston. I need to be able to respond. I need to be able to get to situations as quickly as possible, and I think it's the right thing. So I'm fine with that, and I told the mayor that. I'm fine with coming back. I just need a little time to organize my life a little better, but we'll be...
Might get a year.
We'll be good. We'll be good with it. We'll be fine.
So back in March, in that awful incident on Beacon Street, you were the incident commander. Looking back on that now, and it was a horrible confluence of events. It was really cold, it was windy, it was a basement fire, I believe that's where it started. Now that you've had an opportunity to step back, is there anything that you would have done differently that day? I'm very comfortable with the decisions I made that day. And I say that because I was very fortunate that day to have very competent chief officers feed me timely information on how rapidly and how quickly this fire was deteriorating. Certainly to have 2 firefighters trapped and lost is heart-wrenching, very emotional. And we gave it the best shot to try to rescue Lieutenant Walsh and firefighter Kennedy. But as I look back, as far as what do I do different, this fire developed so rapidly. I think I was on scene for a total of 13 minutes when I ordered everybody out of the building. Yeah, and they were already, they disappeared rather early on.
This fire, in 30 years, I've never seen anything develop as fast and as ferocious as this fire. I mean, it was, we're in the process of doing some investigations, external and internal, and we have some meteorological data from MIT, which was right across the river. Like, wind gusts that day was 60 miles an hour, sustained winds of 40. Any wind-driven fire that has a 10 to 20 mile an hour wind is very dangerous. So we had 3-4 times that. Again, firefighter Lieutenant Walsh and Firefighter Kennedy made some very good decisions as far as they were able to advance the line, they were able to protect the interior stair, and a number of people were able to evacuate, and a number of people were rescued that day because of their actions. So they were truly heroic. And you know, I have a text message that was sent to me by a doctor at Brigham and Women, who was an ER physician, who said that she owes her life to the Boston Fire Department and the actions of the men and women that day. So certainly very sad, very tragic. I mean,
awful.
Lieutenant Walsh, I talked to his wife today just because I felt I owed her a phone call. She's very strong, and I got to say that Kristen Walsh is probably one of the strongest people I've ever met. She has 3 young children. And Kathy Crosby, Michael Kennedy's mother, is another marvelous lady who very strong, and it's just very tragic. So,
early reports said that a welding company was likely responsible. Where does that stand? Is anyone going to be charged in this case?
Well, it's still in the investigatory stage, and I'd like to compliment Police Commissioner Evans and his team. They turned every rock over, they spared no expense in this investigation, that we were comfortable the day after that we knew the cause and origin. I can't say enough about the work of Sergeant Detective Paul McLaughlin, Fire Investigation Lieutenant Tommy Murray, and we had the cause and origin and a good idea of what had taken place within 24 hours of the fire. So that's commendable.
So it's still under investigation? It's
still under investigation. There's certainly things that need to be reviewed and see if there's actually negligence. Commonwealth of Massachusetts does not have a negligent homicide statute except for motor vehicle accidents. And so, you know, we've been working close with Dan Conley's office. They've been more than gracious, and they're leading this investigation. So we'll see where it turns. All
right. So I'm sure you read Boston Globe today, Kevin Cullen's column, which was really, I mean, I'd like to have somebody write something about me like that one day, but I just want to quote, and it was all extremely complimentary, but he went on to say, Finn has his own ideas about how to make the department more efficient, more responsive to changing needs. He has his own view on scheduling and other work issues. He and Local 718 will not always see eye to eye. Are you prepared to go toe-to-toe with the union? I mean, because as you know, I can just say that last year there was some ill will engendered through the public by some of the demands, you know, like being paid for drug testing and that kind of thing. It was a rather unpleasant period of time.
It was a very acrimonious and adversarial period of time. Prior to assuming command of Division 1, which I held for almost 9 years, I was the personnel chief. And through a negotiated settlement in 2001, it was my duties to implement the contract, which dealt with sick leave and a whole host of other issues. And I've gone toe-to-toe on sick leave. I've gone toe-to-toe on those issues. I've suspended a number of people at any time. And certainly we're not going to see eye to eye. And certainly I'm going to have to draw the line and hold people accountable. And I'm comfortable with that. But I got to commend President Paris, Local 718. Went to the bargaining table for this round of negotiations. Worked, you know, in a collaborative and bilateral approach. Respect at the table, and the department gained some substantive management changes that are going to turn this department around. You don't get everything you wish for in the first round, but it's certainly a new day. I mean, we had a very good working relationship, and we were able to get some changes that are going to make a difference in this department.
What about issues of diversity? Because if you say Police Commissioner Paul Evans has made a push, or he's making an effort anyway to diversify his command staff, will you try to do that too?
Well, the promotional system for the officers in the Boston Fire Department has been, and I was involved in the process which basically it changed it through the years. Myself and former Interim Commissioner Hassan sat on reading committees for HRD to determine what was best, so it's more job related. When we were studying coming through the ranks, we'd study basically engineering books, which as a fire lieutenant, I really didn't need to know the boiling point of sodium chloride. I just needed to know what was going to happen when water was applied. So we changed that, and the diversity in the ranks are coming. I mean, we've promoted our first deputy chief, minority deputy chief, Andre Stallworth. Great, studied, worked his way right through the ranks. This last captain's exam, the vice president of the Vulcans was come out #1. He topped it. And the president came out number, I believe, 7 or 8. So the promotional process is they're achieving the goals through the process, and they have the respect and of all the members because they've achieved the goals. It's encouraging.
All right. Commissioner and Chief Joseph Finn, thanks for coming. I hope we don't see you back with some horrible news story, but we'll see.
Oh, I hope not either.
See you.
If God willing, we won't.
Hopefully so.
No, thanks.
Thanks for coming.
Bye.